Good morning. I'm doing my video a little earlier this morning. It's just now starting to snow, so I wanted to do this still while I was in the office. But today's Lent word of the day to offer some reflections on is labyrinth. Now, we have a labyrinth here that we can walk on when we're able to get together, and maybe we'll be able to do that some other time. If you've downloaded or printed out the devotional guide, the Where Your Heart Is devotional guide, there's a labyrinth that you can color in there as well, and you can also find all kinds of images online. But I thought I would there's also a way that you can make your own labyrinth, and so I thought I'd teach you a simple way to do that. So you start off with a cross in the middle of the paper, all right, and then you put dots in what would be like the corners. If you were to draw a square, it would be like in the corners. So, you can do this a little more precise than me, but so you can do that. So then you take from there, you go to the top of the cross, and then you kind of do a swoop that way. Then you go to the next one, and you're doing that way. So you're going around there and around there, and you have your labyrinth. You can make a more involved one as well, that in addition to the dots, you can also do kind of make the cross this way as well, and with also the dots in the four corners. And again, you start at the top part of the cross, and you go there, and you go there, and there, and circle it around there as well, and you keep going. Of course, if you you do it a little lower on the page because I'm getting up to the top here, and so yeah, so you see I'm getting up to the top here. So you do it like that, and so you can make your own labyrinth as well. So hopefully that makes sense. You can also find some instructions online. But a labyrinth we often think of in terms of, it's often used synonymous with a maze. And a maze, if we've seen any of those, sometimes have dead ends in them. And there's only one way in, you have to find it, and there's dead ends, and you start on one way and then you end up in a dead end. So it's harder to, so you're always backtracking, right? But the difference is with a labyrinth is that there's one way in and one way out, that even though it looks confusing, there's one path. And then as you come in, that sometimes you're closer to the center and sometimes you're farther away, and you're wrapping back and forth, back and forth. And it's such a metaphor for our lives too, that there are days that I feel very close to God, that I feel like I got it. I feel God's presence with me. I've experienced God's love and peace. I've been able to share that in some ways. And other days, yeah, I got nothing. And especially during Lent, or particularly in this past year, that there may be times, because we're not able to gather as a community, that there are times that we maybe don't feel that we're particularly close to God, because we miss that aspect of our faith, of being together in community. But that's also part of the journey, that even when we don't feel close to God, we can be assured that God is with us in the labyrinths of our lives, in those times when we are close to God, and those times when we don't feel close, but that God is always with us, walking on that path with us. And one of the reasons I like making a labyrinth is this way, is it started with a cross in the center. That it starts with that's where our focus is, that's what we remember about who our God is, that the cross is the focus to our faith. Because in the cross we see that while it began with death, it did not end there. That we look to the empty cross, knowing that what seemed like death, what seemed like the end, what seemed like all was overcome, was then overcome by God's love and by God's grace and by God's power. And so while this time may seem like a maze, that sometimes we're getting closer to normal and other times we're not, that even with that ultimately God is with us and bringing us new life and new possibility. And today's word is labyrinth. So reflect on it. What are some Bible passages that come to mind for you? What are some images? And what might God be saying to you in this word? So reflect on that yourself. But this is today's word of the day for our season of Lent. We'll see you tomorrow. Probably will be written for the next couple of days. So watch for those as well. We'll talk to you later. Have a blessed day and stay safe out there as the snow begins to come down. Peace.